When the humans joined the Tarek tribe, everything they knew about survival had to change. Gone were the metallic walls of the Odyssey Dawn and the hum of engines. Now, their home was made of woven leaves and crystal resin that glowed at night. At first, the humans struggled. The Tarek slept high above the jungle floor in platforms tied between giant branches. The air was thick and damp, and the nights were filled with strange sounds. Even the simplest daily tasks, finding food, keeping dry, or learning to move through the trees were difficult. Captain Elena Rios led by example. Every day she worked beside the Tarek, learning their methods, their language, their songs. Slowly, the others followed. Dr. Lena Kaur studied the local plants and discovered which ones could be used as medicine. Lieutenant Harris, though stubborn, began helping the Tarek craft better climbing tools using metal scraps from the wreckage. By the end of the first year, the humans were no longer helpless guests. They were contributors, part of the rhythm of life in the jungle. The Tarek were kind but proud people. They believed the planet itself, which they called Ura, was alive. Every action, cutting a branch, catching a fish, lighting a fire, had to be balanced by a gift back to the land. The humans found this idea strange at first, but it soon made sense. On Uraka Prime, everything was connected. When the humans introduced the idea of simple tools like metal knives and containers, the Tarek were amazed. In return, they taught the humans how to listen to the planet's heartbeat. They could predict weather changes by the vibrations in the trees and sense the growth of plants just by touching the soil. Elena often thought about how different this world was from Earth. Back home, technology ruled everything: machines, buildings, speed. Here, life moved at a slower, more natural pace. She started to wonder if perhaps humanity had lost something precious along the way. By the second year, humans and Tarek lived as one community. They shared food, work, and songs. The humans built small study huts near the Tarek homes, where they recorded everything they learned: plants, animals, weather, language, and customs. Dr. Lena even created a small knowledge circle, where young Tarek could see drawings and models of human inventions. She didn't teach machines or weapons, only simple tools that made daily life easier, like pulleys, clean water filters, and solar lanterns powered by sunlight. The Tarek loved these ideas. They combined human methods with their natural materials. Soon their tree villages had gentle lights made from glowing crystals and small water wheels that powered music stones. It was a mix of nature and science, beautiful and peaceful. But life on Uraka Prime was not without challenge. During the second dry season, the tribe's main water source began to change. The clear river near their camp started glowing an unusual purple, and fish began to vanish. The Tarek elders said the planet's spirit was sick. The humans tested the water and found it was full of strange fungal spores that spread through the soil. Elena gathered the crew and the Tarek leaders. "We can fix this," she said, "if we understand it." For weeks, humans and Tarek worked together. The humans built small filters from rocks, plants, and metal mesh. The Tarek taught them how to use certain vines that absorbed bad water and made it safe again. Slowly, the river cleared. The fish returned. The Tarek sang songs of healing to the water as it flowed. When the water shone bright and clean again, the whole tribe celebrated. The Tarek saw the humans not as outsiders anymore, but as Ura's chosen friends. They gave Elena a ceremonial band of woven blue leaves, a symbol of leadership. From that day on, she was called Elena of the Skyfall, named after the humans' descent from the stars. In the third year, the tribe grew stronger and more curious. The Tarek wanted to know about the stars. They gathered around at night, asking Elena and Harris to tell stories of Earth, of cities that touched the clouds, of oceans without end, and of machines that could fly higher than birds. The Tarek listened in awe but asked one simple question: "If your world has so much, why did you leave it?" Elena thought for a long time before answering. "We didn't leave it," she said softly. "We were searching for knowledge. But maybe in our search, we forgot how to listen." The Tarek elder smiled and said, "Then maybe Ura sent you here to remember." That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She stared up at the twin moons and thought about home. Would Earth even remember them now? Or were they truly part of this world forever? Later that year, the tribe faced a new challenge. A group of visitors arrived from far across the jungle, the Rune, another alien tribe. They looked similar to the Tarak but taller, with dark skin that shimmered red under sunlight. The Rune believed the humans' arrival had disturbed the planet's balance. The meeting between tribes was tense, but Elena refused to let fear take control. She stood beside the Tarak elder and spoke calmly through their shared words. "We do not harm this world," she said. "We learn from it, and we give back." The Rune were suspicious. To prove their goodwill, Elena proposed a shared task: to heal a dying lake that both tribes used for fishing. The Rune agreed, curious to see if these sky people could truly help. For many days, humans, Tarak, and Rune worked side by side. They removed poisonous fungus, redirected clean streams, and sang ancient Tarak songs that seemed to calm the land. The humans taught both tribes how to use simple filters and water flow systems. When the lake shimmered clear again, the Rune were amazed. One of their elders bowed before Elena and said in his deep voice, "You bring balance, not harm. The sky and soil walk together in you." From that moment, peace spread across the jungle. For the first time, the tribes united in friendship. And in the center of it all were the humans, no longer lost explorers but bridge builders between worlds. By the 4th year, life on Uraka Prime was full of color and purpose. The human camp had become a thriving village connected to the Tarak homes by woven bridges and gentle lights. Human children and Tarak younglings played together, learning both languages as one. Elena often walked through the village at sunset, watching how much everything had changed. Harris taught the Tarak to make star maps using simple paper and charcoal. Dr. Lena created a garden of hybrid plants that grew twice as fast using human knowledge and Tarak song. Even the smallest things amazed Elena, like how a Tarak elder had learned to use a broken datapad as a storytelling screen, filling it with sketches of their shared history. One evening, the Tarak held a great festival under the glowing trees. It marked 4 years since the Sky People had arrived. There was singing, dancing, and laughter. Elena sat with the Tarak elder, who smiled at her warmly. "Yura is pleased," he said. "The stars brought you, and now you belong." Elena smiled back. "Maybe this was our mission all along," she said. "To find not new worlds, but new friends." The elder nodded. "You gave us knowledge. We gave you peace. That is the balance of Yura." That night, Elena climbed to the highest branch and looked at the sky. The stars shimmered like silver dust. Somewhere out there was Earth, still spinning, still alive. She wondered if they were still searching for the lost Odyssey dawn. For the first time, the thought didn't fill her with sadness. It filled her with pride. Humanity had survived, adapted, and grown. They had found beauty in a place that was once alien and frightening. She whispered softly into the wind, "If anyone ever finds this planet, I hope they see what we've built here." The 4th year on Uraka Prime passed peacefully. The humans and the Tarak tribe had become one people. The once strange jungle world now felt like home. The air was still warm and filled with the song of glowing birds, and every evening, the trees shimmered with blue light. The humans had built small huts near the Tarak homes, connected by rope bridges. Captain Elena Rios often walked through the forest trails, watching the children, both human and Tarak, playing together. Their laughter echoed like music through the trees. It was a world without walls or fear, where curiosity replaced conflict. One night, as the twin moons rose over the jungle, something unusual appeared in the sky. A distant light, bright, sharp, and moving fast. At first, Elena thought it was just a comet, but then the light changed direction. It was artificial. Her heart began to race. "That's not a star," she whispered. "That's a ship." By morning, the sky was alive with activity. A small craft entered the atmosphere, leaving a silver trail behind it. The Tarak gathered in the clearing, watching in amazement as the ship descended slowly. The humans recognized the markings immediately. Terran Union insignia. Elena's communicator, long silent, suddenly blinked to life. "This is Captain Rios. "This is Commander Blake from the Union Recovery Fleet. We've located your beacon signal. We're here to bring you home." The humans stared at each other in disbelief. After 4 years, someone had finally come. The Terek elders looked at Elena with calm curiosity. They did not fully understand what was happening, but they sensed change was near. When the rescue ship landed, uniformed humans stepped out, clean suits, shining boots, faces pale from life on metal decks. Commander Blake looked around at the forest village with wide eyes. You built all this?" he asked in awe. Elena smiled softly. "Not just us. Them too," she said, gesturing to the Terek. Blake blinked. "Aliens, they helped you?" "They saved us," Elena replied simply. The crew from the rescue ship walked through the village, examining everything. The woven houses, the gardens glowing with light, the hybrid tools and structures built from both human metal and Terek crystal. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. One of the officers whispered, "This isn't a camp. It's a civilization." That evening, the Terek held a grand feast to welcome the visitors from the stars. Fruits that glowed like lanterns hung from vines. The Terek sang songs of friendship, and the humans joined in. The new arrivals, uncomfortable at first, slowly relaxed. Even Commander Blake smiled as Terek children offered him bright blue flowers. But under the laughter and songs, tension stirred. The rescue team wanted to bring the humans back to Earth immediately. To them, this was a successful rescue mission, simple, clear. Elena, however, felt her heart pulled in 2 directions. Later that night, Blake spoke quietly to her. "Elena, the Council will want to hear your report. You'll be famous. You survived 4 years on an alien world. You can finally go home." She looked out at the Terek village glowing softly under the moons. "Home," she repeated. "I'm not sure what that means anymore." The next day, a meeting was held. The humans who had lived on Uraka Prime gathered with the rescue team and the Terek elders. The air was heavy with emotion. Elena stood before them, trying to find the right words. "4 years ago," she began, "we crashed here as strangers. We were scared, lost, and broken, but these people took us in. They taught us how to live in balance, not just to survive. We came from the stars, thinking we were the advanced ones. But it was the Terek who taught us what progress truly means: peace, patience, understanding." Blake stepped forward. "And now you can share those lessons with Earth. We need minds like yours back home. You've seen what humanity can become." Elena looked at her crew. Some faces were filled with hope at the idea of returning. Others looked torn, glancing toward the Terek, who stood silently nearby. Dr. Lena spoke softly. "Captain, if we leave, it will feel like abandoning family." Harris nodded. "But if we stay, we lose our world." Elena took a deep breath. "Maybe we can do both." After hours of discussion, a decision was made. Half of the crew would return to Earth with the rescue fleet, to tell the story of Uraka Prime, to share what they had learned. The others would remain behind, choosing to live with the Terek and continue building this peaceful union. It wasn't an easy choice. Tears were shed. The Terek didn't understand all the words, but they felt the emotion deeply. Their songs that night were full of sorrow and gratitude. Before the departure, the Terek held a farewell ceremony. The whole forest glowed as they sang a song called The Joining of Skies. The humans wore garlands made of blue leaves and silver vines, symbols of eternal friendship. Elena stood before the Terek elder, who placed a crystal pendant around her neck. "You came from the stars," he said in his soft musical voice, "but your heart grew roots here. Wherever you go, you are part of Ura now." Elena smiled through tears. "And Ura will always be part of me." The morning of departure was calm. The rescue ship stood ready in the clearing, its engines humming softly. The air smelled of rain and fruit. Elena turned to her people one last time. Half of her crew stood beside her, ready to board. The rest, Dr. Lena, Harris, and several others, remained with the Terek, holding their hands, smiling bravely. Elena removed the silver insignia from her old Terran uniform, a small metal star, and placed it in the Terek elder's hand. "This is our symbol," she said. "It means unity and hope. Keep it and remember that humanity will return, not as strangers, but as friends." The elder held it close to his heart. As Elena stepped onto the ramp, the Terek began to sing. The song rose higher and higher, filling the jungle and echoing into the sky. It was a song of farewell, but also of beginnings. The engines roared gently and the ship lifted off. Through the viewport, Elena saw the Tarek waving below, their glowing forms shining like stars on the forest floor. Her heart ached, but it was a sweet ache, the kind that comes when something beautiful changes rather than ends. Days later, the Odyssey's survivors stood once more under the cold white lights of a Terran space station. Reporters, scientists, and officers surrounded them. Questions filled the air. How did you survive? What were the aliens like? Did they ever threaten you? Elena only smiled. They didn't just let us survive, she said. They taught us to live. Her words spread across the Terran worlds. People listened. For the first time in decades, the galaxy heard a story not of conquest or fear, but of friendship. Soon, a new mission was planned, not to conquer Uraka Prime, but to return peacefully with gifts and open hands. The Council called it the Alliance of the Two Worlds. Years passed. Elena grew older, now an ambassador between Earth and Uraka Prime. Her ship traveled often between the two worlds. Every time she returned to the Tarek village, she was greeted by songs, laughter, and children who spoke both human and Tarek languages. She often sat with the Tarek elder beside the glowing river, the same one they had once healed together. "Do you miss the stars?" he asked her once. Elena smiled. "No," she said softly. "I carry them inside me now." On the 10th anniversary of their first contact, a new generation of humans arrived on Uraka Prime, not as rescuers or explorers, but as students and friends. Together, humans and Tarek built a great library in the forest, a place of shared knowledge and stories. And above its entrance, carved in both languages, were the words Elena had spoken years before. Humanity learns, but never forgets. As the sun set beyond the horizon, Elena looked up one last time. The stars twinkled like memories, each one holding a story of connection. She knew that the universe was vast and full of unknown life, but she also knew something greater, that no matter how far humanity travels, kindness and understanding will always be its greatest strength. The jungle sang softly, and Uraka Prime glowed beneath the endless sky. Humanity had not just survived here. It had become something better. Steam rose from the small bathroom, fogging up the mirror and turning the glass door of the shower into a blurred wall of white mist. Ethan Cole, a 27-year-old software technician living alone in a quiet city apartment, was just finishing his shower after another dull day at work. The hum of the water mixed with his humming, the only music in his small, silent home. He didn't expect anything unusual. He didn't expect her. Without warning, the air inside the bathroom shimmered. It wasn't the fog. It wasn't a reflection. It was something else. Something bending, light, twisting sound, warping the very air itself. There was a faint pop, like static discharge, and then she appeared, right there in his shower. Ethan froze mid-motion, soap still in his hair. His brain couldn't process what his eyes were seeing. A woman, no, someone, stood a few feet away from him, right in the middle of the steam. Her skin had a faint silver glow beneath the mist, like moonlight reflecting on water. Her eyes were a deep violet, and tiny flickers of light shimmered inside them like stars. She blinked once, looking around with confusion. Her lips parted slightly as if trying to form a word, but no sound came out at first. Ethan's heart jumped. Excuse me. What? He stammered, quickly grabbing a towel and wrapping it around himself. Who are you? The woman looked at him with calm, almost mechanical focus. Then she spoke, her voice soft but clear. This is not the correct arrival chamber. Ethan blinked. Arrival chamber? Lady, this is a shower. Her gaze swept over him, not in any suggestive way, more like a scientist examining a new life form. She tilted her head as if scanning his towel, his surroundings, and even the droplets of water in the air. Human male. Local gravity acceptable. Oxygen concentration stable. Temperature within tolerance. Ethan took a step back, his back hitting the wet tiles. Okay, you're either some kind of cosplayer or I'm hallucinating. Her eyes narrowed slightly, glowing faintly brighter. You are not hallucinating. My name is Lyra of the Polaris Enclave. I am... She paused, her expression faltering for the first time. Displaced. Ethan's towel nearly slipped as he pointed toward the door. Displaced or not, you teleported into my shower. You need to, I don't know, go back? I cannot, she said flatly. The quantum gate collapsed mid-transfer. This planet is now my current coordinate. He gawked at her. Quantum gate? Planet? You mean you're from another system? She finished simply. Ethan stood still, speechless, soap bubbles sliding down his arm. Of course you are, he muttered. I finally get a weekend off and now I've got an alien in my bathroom. Lyra frowned slightly as if offended by the word alien. We prefer the term off-worlder. Sure, he said weakly. Off-worlder, right. Do off-worlders usually show up in people's showers? That depends on the precision of the gate, she replied, completely serious. Yours appears imprecise. Ethan couldn't help it. He let out a small laugh, a nervous one. Yeah, tell that to my water bill. He rubbed his head. Okay, Lyra, if you're really from another world, how do I know you're not some government experiment gone wrong? Lyra looked at him with an expression halfway between confusion and curiosity. Because, she said slowly, no government on this planet possesses the energy signature necessary to breach quantum thresholds. She extended her hand slightly. From her palm, a faint blue light flickered, geometric lines forming for just a second, hovering in the air like a hologram. Then they vanished. Ethan's jaw dropped. Okay, that's real, she nodded once. Now that you understand, I require assistance. He blinked. Assistance from me? I can barely help myself. You possess a functioning habitation unit, she said, glancing around the small apartment beyond the bathroom door. I will remain until I can re-establish connection with my enclave. Ethan's brain spun like an overheated processor. You're staying? You just appeared out of nowhere, scared me half to death, and now you're moving in? Lyra tilted her head again. That is an accurate summary, he sighed, rubbing his face. You've got to be kidding me. But the strange part was, as the moments passed, he started to believe her. There was something undeniably real about her presence, something beyond trickery or illusion. Her body emitted faint warmth, and when she stepped closer, the air around her buzzed faintly with static, like standing next to a live power line. Ethan finally gestured toward the door. Fine, let's get you some clothes. You can't just walk around like that. She looked down at her smooth silver bodysuit, which seemed to be made of some flexible metallic fiber. This is adaptive armor, she said. It sustains itself. Yeah, but it's glowing, he muttered. People are gonna think I brought home a light bulb. She blinked, not getting the joke, but followed him out. In the living room, Lyra began examining everything. The television, the plants, even the fridge magnets. She moved with careful curiosity, touching nothing but observing everything. Her gaze lingered on the digital clock. Time measurement, she murmured. Your civilization divides its orbit into arbitrary intervals. Efficient. Ethan raised an eyebrow. You think our time system is efficient? You should see our public transport. Her lips curved slightly. Not a smile exactly, but the closest thing yet. As the night went on, Ethan realized two things. First, Lyra wasn't dangerous, at least not intentionally. Second, she was incredibly intelligent, but also deeply out of place. When she tried to access the internet, she somehow made his Wi-Fi router overheat. When she examined his phone, she muttered that human communication networks were shockingly primitive. And when she watched a cooking show on TV, she asked, "Why does your species heat its nutrients instead of synthesizing them?" Ethan just laughed and handed her a slice of pizza. Because it tastes good. She took a bite, analyzed the flavor, then looked genuinely surprised. This was agreeable. Hours passed. The two sat on opposite ends of the couch, him trying to process reality, her quietly scanning everything with faint blue eyes. It felt surreal. A cosmic being eating pizza in his living room while the city outside carried on. Unaware. Finally, she looked at him and said, "You have not asked the most relevant question." Ethan blinked. What question? Why I came here, he hesitated. Okay, yeah. Why did you come here? Her eyes dimmed slightly, her tone changing. I was not meant to arrive here. My mission was to observe the extinction of a dying sun. The gate malfunctioned mid-jump. I landed here, your world, instead. Accident, Ethan said softly. Yes, she replied, but perhaps not meaningless. Your planet emits signals. Primitive, but emotional. They reached us, Ethan frowned. You mean our TV broadcasts? Internet stuff? She nodded. Yes, stories, songs, warnings, hope. Many of us watched and wondered, There was silence between them for a moment. He realized then that humanity, for all its flaws, had reached the stars in ways no one expected, through emotion, creativity, and stories. Finally, Lyra leaned back slightly, her voice almost a whisper. "You are more significant than you know, Ethan Cole. Your species is..." Loud in the dark, he blinked. Loud. "In a universe full of silence," she said softly. "That is not a weakness. It is power." For the first time since she arrived, Ethan smiled genuinely. "Well," he said, "you're stuck with us for a while. Hope you like noise." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Perhaps I will." And with that, humanity's strangest houseguest decided to stay, for now.